Former AEW talent and current WWE Vice President William Regal hits back at claims he was snaking out the competition during his tenure with All Elite Wrestling. We have the ratings for Monday's episode of Raw on USA Network, which is one of the lowest viewership numbers in Monday Night Raw history. Stephanie Vaka makes her NXT debut via satellite as she interrupts both Julia and Roxanne Perez's contract signing on the final episode of NXT on USA Network. Vince McMahon parts ways with his PR firm ahead of the Netflix documentary series that drops today. We're also going to have a review of the series later on here on the channel. CM Punk also appears last night on the final NXT episode on USA. Kanani Jordan retains the Women's North American Championship. Ricky Starks says he's ready to wrestle. And an AEW TNT Championship Open Challenge is announced for Collision Grand Slam. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Let's begin with William Regal speaking out at some of the claims of contract tampering resulting from his tenure in All Elite Wrestling. This comes via Regal himself on social media. Now, William Regal has issued a lengthy response in regard to an accusation concerning his time in AEW. One of the many and arguably most surprising WWE releases from the pandemic era, Regal wasted little time making a return to professional wrestling as he made his shock arrival in AEW at Revolution back in 2022 to break up a brawl between Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley, which would be the preliminary stage of the formation of the Blackpool Combat Club. Although Regal looks set to be in the promotion for the long haul, his time in AEW came to an abrupt end as he was attacked by AEW World Champion MJF at the time towards the end of the year in 2022 and was not seen on screen since. Tony Khan, the AEW president and CEO, later confirmed the departure and that the reason for the exit was so that Regal could see his son Charlie Dempsey compete in NXT and continue to train him. An additional term of the release was added stating that Regal was unable to appear on screen for WWE for a year, which Regal agreed to. Now, how does this all start? Well, on September 24th, NXT presented its final show on the USA Network as the CW premiere will take place on October 1st next week. Joining many stars in describing what the brand means to him, Regal also sent his thanks to those who made it possible. Now, you can see the posts on the screen right here. This is what Regal had to say. He said, quote, "I was part, except for H's family, part of the very beginning of WWE's NXT. I'm still involved, but not as much as I was. Thank you to H, Sean, Matt, and everyone else that fought the fight making a 1-hour program on the WWE Network, to traveling the world and making new stars and memories for the fans. It continues today. Doesn't matter what the color scheme is or was or has been, we changed the wrestling world, although few will want to admit it. It's been the best part of a 41-year career being NXT to the core." He then followed this up by saying, "Dictating onto this Twitter thing doesn't work for me, as you can see from my previous NXT love post. Someone sort this out, as I'm English and we invented the language. Or I could just accept I didn't study enough at school, as I was daydreaming about being a pro wrestler to pay attention in grammar. What a waste." Now, in response to the post he mentioned about NXT, it led to this response saying, quote, "Thank you for everything you did for NXT and also snaking out the competition, brackets AEW." Now, Regal responded with a lengthy post saying, quote, "FYI, although it serves some people's agenda and having a massive amount of people who work in AEW that can only back me up, I went to AEW to help because Bryan Danielson asked me to. Please find me one person who can say otherwise. I arrived at 10 a.m. until 6:15 p.m. Eastern to train anyone that wanted to come, apart from going to the restroom and refilling my water container. I never attended a single production meeting, as I knew if I were to stay there, I needed people to realize I was only there to help. Nor did I ask a single question about anybody that works there's contract status. I helped at the ring with what any of the talent needed. I showered and got into a suit by 6:30, then watched the monitor with everyone else. I'm giving you the right to ask anyone who works backstage or talent the right to ask them if I did anything but help with no agenda. Feel free. I also didn't call Tony when his mother was ill. He called me, and as soon as he told me where he was, I ended the call and we spoke 2 weeks later. FYI, my deal was up in December 28th. That's when I left. These are all the facts I can prove. Anyone trying to twist this has the right to check this out. I am friendly with 60% plus of the talent and backstage crew. Feel free to do some research. Now, AEW executives and talent have backed this up, with AEW executive QT Marshall saying, quote, "From an office employee who worked with him, everything said in this tweet is accurate." Renee Paquette, also a backstage interviewer in AEW, has tweeted out the following, saying 100% true. So what are your thoughts when it comes to Regal's comments? Let me know your thoughts about it in the comment section below. Now, Monday Night Raw this week struggled with heavy competition to one of the lowest viewed episodes of Raw ever in the history of the program. The September 23rd, 2024 edition of Monday Night Raw was one of the lowest rated shows in the brand's history, as both overall average viewership and the key demographic ratings reduced significantly. The show drew just 1.339 million viewers, according to WrestleNomics, making it the second lowest in the show's history, excluding two best-of editions of Raw in December 2023 and 2024. The show's overall viewership decreased by 11% compared to the previous week, while it was 16% lower than the full-week trailing average. This past week's show didn't fare well in the key 18 to 49 demographic ratings, as it saw a 12% drop from the 0.49 last week to a 0.43 this week. However, the report by WrestleNomics noted that this isn't a historical low for Raw in this metric, as 30 other shows have performed worse. The viewership and ratings of the show have remained steady when comparing September 2024 to September 2023, with the former seeing a 1% gain and the latter experiencing a 2% rise. The report further added that the Red brand ranked number 2 on cable in key demographic ratings for the night, behind the NFL game between the Buffalo Bills and Jacksonville Jaguars, which secured a rating of 2.0. The final hour of Raw had the highest key demographic rating at 0.44, while the second and first hours had ratings of 0.43 and 0.41 respectively, according to Programming Insider. Raw ranked in the top 10 of primetime shows for the key demographic on Monday, behind the aforementioned Bills-Jaguars game, the game between the Washington Commanders and Cincinnati Bengals on ABC, and the pre-show for the Commanders-Bengals game, and the music reality show The Voice on NBC. So what are your thoughts when it comes to the ratings for Raw? Let me know your thoughts about that one too. Stephanie Vaka appeared via satellite last night on WWE NXT. Ahead of their NXT Women's Championship match, Julia and Roxanne Perez fielded questions from several media outlets in the closing segment of this week's episode of NXT. Much to the surprise of everyone, one of those questions came from former CMLL Women's Champion Stephanie Vaka, who, much like Julia, signed with WWE mere months ago. Quote, "What are you going to do when you have me waiting on the other side of your NXT Women's Championship match?" Vaka asked both Perez and Julia. Rising from their seats, Perez and Julia pivoted towards the Titantron, in which Vaka appeared, before turning their attention back to each other. With Vaka's image displayed in the background, Perez then raised her NXT Women's Championship up in the air as Julia intently eyed it up. Of course, Vaka made her WWE debut against former Women's Tag Team Champion Isla Dawn at a Mexico City live event back in July, just days after the company announced her signing. Vaka has not wrestled since that respective weekend, with previous reports indicating that she was on standby until her USA work visa arrived. Given her appearance on NXT this week, it seems as though that issue has recently been resolved. With Vaka now waiting in the wings, Perez now finds herself with two imminent threats to her NXT Women's Championship reign, with the aforementioned former New Japan Strong Women's Champion Julia being the first. The face-off between Perez and Julia will take place on next week's episode of NXT, which also marks the show's official debut on the CW network. Now, today is the day the Vince McMahon, Mr. McMahon documentary series on Netflix has dropped. As I mentioned, we will have a review and a more in-depth breakdown, all of the news stories coming out of the documentary in future videos. But McMahon, of course, has been not very happy with the final product, as evident by his statement, as well as attempts previously to buy the documentary back from Netflix. Now, it recently came to light that former WWE chairman Vince McMahon tried to buy the rights to the Netflix-produced Mr. McMahon docuseries set to premiere on the streaming service. Now, in the hopes of likely killing the series before it could actually air, that's what McMahon was attempting to do. According to a new report, McMahon is continuing to take steps to protect himself in the lead-up to possibly and a very bad look at the former wrestling magnate. According to Post Wrestling, McMahon has parted ways with the PR firm Citrick & Company. McMahon brought the PR firm on 5 months ago amidst the lawsuit against him, John Laurinaitis, and WWE, filed by former legal assistant Janelle Grant. Grant has accused McMahon, Laurinaitis, and WWE of sexual abuse, harassment, torture, and trafficking during her time working for McMahon. Earlier this summer, the federal government began looking into Grant's claims and any possible criminal conduct, leading to a 6-month stay in the civil suit. McMahon will still be represented by Jessica Taub Rosenberg in the civil suit. Netflix and WWE initially produced the Mr. McMahon docuseries together, with McMahon taking part in hours of interviews before he was ousted from the company and retired back in 2022 over the revelation of hush money payments made to former employees. Netflix continued the documentary without WWE. McMahon released a statement earlier this week distancing himself from the docuseries despite his initial participation and claiming the series conflates him with the character he portrayed on television. The situation is an interesting one for Netflix, who will be the broadcast home for WWE Monday Night Raw beginning in 2025 to the tune of $5 billion. Now, going back to NXT, CM Punk made another appearance last night. CM Punk appeared on the final episode of NXT on USA Network last night, ahead of next week's CW debut. On the October 1st CW premiere show, CM Punk will serve as the special guest referee for the NXT Championship match as Ethan Page defends against Trick Williams. Punk was shown chatting with Javon Evans backstage when he was approached by Williams. CM Punk confirmed that he would be calling the match entirely down the middle. He wouldn't let either Trick Williams or Ethan Page cheat, but he also had no intention of impacting the decision. He said, quote, "I know Ethan Page, is going to try and cheat. That's why I'm the special guest referee. I'm not letting him cheat. I'm not letting you cheat. I'm not saying you're gonna. That's not your style. I know that. But I'm in the ring to make sure the best man to lead NXT into the CW future wins the match. We know that could be you. You've done it before. I kind of hope it's you, but I'm not going to lean that way. There'll be no favors given. At the end of the night, if you're not that guy and it's Ethan Page, I'll be raising his hand. I'm not going to play favorites, man. May the best man win." Now, we did see title action last night on NXT as well. Kanani Jordan is heading into NXT's new era on the CW, still Women's North American Champion, after defeating the No Quarter Catch Crew's Ren Sinclair on Tuesday's episode of NXT. Sinclair got her title shot last week after Heritage Cup champion Charlie Dempsey told her to go out and seek an opportunity to solidify herself within the faction. Sinclair took the advice to heart and interrupted an interview segment of Jordan's by slapping her in the face, starting a brawl backstage. Jordan and Sinclair kicked off the show with the No Quarter Catch Crew at ringside. Sinclair was mostly in control to start off the match until Jordan went flying over the top rope to take out her opponent with a crossbody and got back in control of the match, going into a picture-in-picture break. Sinclair blocked Jordan's split-legged moonsault once, but Jordan continued to the top rope and missed a frog splash. Jordan rolled out to the ring and Sinclair went for a dive but missed and crashed into the members of the No Quarter Catch Crew. Back in the ring, Jordan was able to hit the split-legged moonsault for the victory. Jordan has been a fighting inaugural champion since winning the championship at NXT Battleground in a ladder match, having defeated the likes of Izzy Dame, Wendy Chu, and TNA Wrestling's Rosemary in recent weeks. Now, Ricky Starks, so many people talking about the status of the former FTW and Tag Team Champion in All Elite Wrestling. AEW's Ricky Starks has been MIA from the promotion for some time now, with rumors swirling that it could have anything to do with his health or his contract status, but the mystery remains. Starks took to social media to, assure fans fear about his physical condition. Quote, "Hard work and nothing less," Starks wrote over a picture of himself at the gym, "ready to wrestle because that's what I was meant to do. That and be #absolute. Now, as I mentioned, Starks has not wrestled for AEW since March, losing an AEW World Tag Team Championship Tournament quarterfinal match to Top Flight alongside Big Bill. Starks wrestled a match against QT Marshall on the Indies, but other than that, the former FTW champion has not been seen. Getting updates about Starks has been a bit of a thorny matter, as stories about his whereabouts and mindset tend to contradict each other. During AEW's biggest show of the year, All In, on August 25th, Starks said he was seeing Twister in 4DX, while the rest of AEW's roster was in Wembley Stadium for the event. Starks saying he's ready to wrestle comes just before AEW is set to hold AEW Dynamite Grand Slam tonight at Arthur Ashe Stadium in New York City. There could be a potential venue where he could potentially make his return, and that could be in this open challenge that was just announced over the weekend. The match cards for AEW Grand Slam on both Dynamite and AEW Collision are stacking up, and an open challenge for Jack Perry's TNT Championship has now been added to the latter. AEW announced on their X account on Tuesday that the Scapegoat GOAT has issued an open challenge for his title at Grand Slam from Arthur Ashe Stadium in New York City. Collision will be taped following Dynamite today, and AEW has been advertising that fans can see all the action before Collision airs on TNT on Saturday if they attend the event live. Perry himself has not commented on the open challenge on his own X account. As of this recording, no AEW talent has alluded to answering the challenge, but some are speculating maybe it could be Starks. Perry's last title defense came on the September 14th episode of AEW Collision, where he defeated Christopher Daniels, and he was recently defeated by AEW World Champion Bryan Danielson when he attempted to capture that title at All Out. Perry won the TNT Championship at Forbidden Door in a ladder match after Adam Copeland had been forced to vacate the title due to injury. Collision will also see a Continental Championship elimination match pitting champion Kazuchika Okada against Sammy Guevara, Saraya versus Jamie Hayter in a Saraya's Rules match, a Lumberjack strap match between Hangman Adam Page and Jeff Jarrett, and a Tornado Trios match between the Conglomeration and the Learning Tree. Hologram will also take on the Beast Mortos and Dralistico on the show, while MXM Collection will unveil a makeover of Max Caster's jacket. But there you go, guys. The latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.